It's Raz's birthday. Da-na-na-na. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Owlite Society. Um, Happy Sunday. Thank Cthulhu, it's Sunday. And not only is it Sunday, it is the technically day after Raz's birthday, but we are celebrating tonight with a campfire um, in honor of his birthday.
Yeah.
So we've got special guests with us. We have our crew as well as Rob Smales and, as I have to say it now, Steve Van Samson.
Yep.
Visiting
She's
to
under
hang
contract
out.
by me to say it that way every time.
I'm required. It's a thing now.
I got to figure out what promo had that in it, though, because I forgot it wasn't that one. I'm trying to remember what promo it was. It might have been the Think Cthulhu It's Sunday version of the promo, I think.
It is. I think
Okay.
so.
Okay.
If we'd like, I could play that one too.
You should totally play that one, just because. Yeah.
Okay, give me just a minute here, guys. While we're it takes me a second to load this. We were talking about how much fun we've had with these guys on the show in the past before we started off with you guys started here. I can't talk. Why am I hosting tonight? Words are hard. I keep lisping and like doing strange things because I had oral surgery a while ago and I'm still getting used to it there and then having healed. And Steve's just like, I don't fucking care. What are you doing?
Me word good.
But yeah, so I hope everybody's having a good night and has had a good week. And how are we doing tonight, everybody?
Awesome.
Fantastic.
It's Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And happy birthday, Raz.
Thank you.
Raz T Slasher. I like to use your full name.
Me too, actually.
Your full God-given name.
So I'm like 3/4 of the way done with my master's degree, and I'm actually going to get my doctorate. I'm already working on where to go after it. One of the whole reasons I'm doing it is just so I can call myself Dr. Slasher on the books, because it feels like important, you know?
It does.
It's a lot of money to pay for it, you know, but I feel like it's money well spent.
It's good to have goals.
Giving a master's degree.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you could change your name. Your first name could be Doctor.
I mean,
like, I'm Doctor.
Could be, but I feel like everything I do has to have a story or a journey, and I just feel like changing I went down there and changed my name the other day, and that's how I'm a doctor, and it just doesn't feel.
It's not that easy
enough for me.
It's a pain in the ass. It's tough.
And I could stop at Master Slasher, but that's just doctor. I just want to walk into a hospital, look at somebody, and be like, doctor, and just walk out like just once in my life, and that would be legit.
That'd be awesome.
Have you thought about getting an honorary doctorate?
But it doesn't feel the same, man. It just doesn't. I need the journey.
Yeah.
Dude's been working for years on this, man. It's crazy. He's been in school. I'm so proud of him. He always makes a dean's list. I'm like, yeah, bro, I'm proud of you. Good job. But I really am.
I actually
because
just got my final grade today for this class. I got 99.1% for the first of the teaching classes for the teaching degree part of it.
Wow.
I'm so excited.
Nice.
99.1.
Congratulations.
Playing the hits.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I can't just pull up and play that video that we're doing, but if I change brands, it changes the backgrounds and everything. So
gotcha.
Oh. I always forget that, and I just go in and hit buttons, and everything changes, and I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah. I've done that before. It's not a good thing. It's like, oh, where are we at? Oh, I just covered everybody and put up the cat in the corner or something. I don't know. Like, I play with stuff on the different networks all the time, or on the different brand things all the time, so I end up with like messes. We can like go through all the owls and look at everything. But yeah, so Raz, tell us a little bit. You were talking about it before, but let the people out here know about the stuff that happened at the haunt this weekend, if you could.
Oh yeah,
that sounds super exciting.
Yeah, we had our family and friends night on Friday, just sort of our like official big dress rehearsal. We actually had 147 family and friends show up, which is more than we've ever had like the last 3 years. And then last night, opening night, traditionally, like this time of year, we're competing with local football, just so much in Ohio. We get maybe 40 to 60 people come out. We had already just on the normal ticket sales booth, not counting online sales or other stuff, a whopping 279 people came through our door. And the other part I forgot to mention earlier is that we actually opened late. We didn't even actually open at 8. We didn't open until like 8:30, like 8:40. So technically, probably more people could have came through, but our time frame was a little bit off because our first weekend is always we have bugs to work out. So we got our dress rehearsal, then we have our opening night to the public, and everybody did everything perfectly. But we just were not prepared to have that many people, like, because it's never happened, come through that quickly. And it was all 3 first years combined, and I think close to double with just the physical ticket sales there. So it was insane. It was insane. And then both nights there was a big birthday thing for me where people sing me happy birthday. Some nights other Han owners came down, like a lot of guest actors came in, like from other Hans, and it was a really magical time, like just for me. And traditionally my birthdays are absolute garbage, just absolute fucking garbage. So I think this was like probably the best one I've ever had, hands down.
Nice.
My wife and daughter got involved. I guess they're the ones that set the whole thing up. I forgot to mention that too. And that was also pretty surprising.
Nice.
It was really cool, man. But yeah, a lot of fun.
We're gonna keep it going tonight.
Oh yeah,
all night tonight.
And this is a traditional thing actually that Dell started for me 3 years ago. Actually, 4 years ago. It's been 4 years ago because she knew how much I love storytelling, and she organized this special storytelling event for me for my birthday on the Discord server we used to work on together, Right. So this is a 4-year thing we've been doing now.
It's right, not right, or right.
Or left.
Right.
Right, wrong.
Down.
Right?
Left, right. BA.
AB.
Thank you. And I have 100 minutes.
Crap, now I'm going to have to change my login. Jeez.
Okay. Oh, we're getting here for a second. So everybody, we were discussing the intro, and I played the right intro, but it wasn't the intro we were thinking of. So I'm taking the time to upload, and you're going to get to see another one of our intros. Super exciting because you'll see everybody here made it to this, and some people that were missing tonight.
But the best part is definitely when Rob Smales says his line. That's
it is 100% for that one. Wait. Yes. Like if you guys didn't know how I make all these promos in my basement. I literally sit here, I piece things together, and I'm very careful, like the way I think about things, because I kind of like see it in my head as I'm seeing like the pieces of everything. So getting to assemble these is actually a lot of fun for me. But this was the one that was the most fun so far that I've done, like hands down.
Okay, so without further ado, here is the Thank Cthulhu It Is Sunday intro.
Before them stood the house of their nightmares.
I dreamt of doors and shadows.
Can't see anything. It's scary as fuck.
I sent out some money looking for some stuff, and I got this package in the mail. We need something else to go with this because we're geeks, but you know what we need? Van Samson, Curtis M. Lawson, Paul Christian Glenn, Joshua Rex, Raz, Rob Smales.
Good, bad. I'm the guy with the mic.
Howdy.
Ta-da!
That was my favorite Rob moment.
You know what I have to say about that intro is that it was scary as fuck.
It's scary as fuck.
It's scary as fuck.
You didn't see anything. It's scary as fuck.
But also, that was the very first time in that promo that Del had ever pronounced Steve Van Samson, and that is why she's now contracted to say it that way every single time.
I gotta tell you, like I don't hear it. I don't hear it. Like it just sounds like you're saying my name with a little bit of extra, like volume, maybe. Like I'm not sure.
No.
Like
There's pep in it. It's like Steve Van Samson. Like there's this whole like up and down, and there's the hand like gestures, and it's a performance of your name.
Brought up. Okay. Well, that's cool. Maybe it's just a speech impediment. Maybe it's just.
Yeah, that's highly likely. What's going to be Steve Van Samson?
See,
Somebody
it's
call
emotion
security.
behind it, man.
All right. But this is the Raz T Slasher birthday extravaganza.
Yes.
So, yeah.
When do we get to spank you?
I mean,
kind
if
of-
you can make the drive, I'm free, buddy.
I can't wait to see you in an event so I can call you that. Just that way, but way louder.
Oh yeah.
Gonna shout it? Shout it! Shout it to the gods, man! I,
Do it over a PA.
and one other thing before we jump back into the Raz T Slasher show, I've officially been christened. Jesus Christ! I've officially been. I'm supposed to be reading tonight. That's gonna be beautiful.
Christian bailed. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, you christened me a Van Samson Knight. I didn't realize you had a following. But
Well, I'm not big enough to actually have a following, but I think it's like you and two other people. But sure, you can be It's the name that I had like a million years ago. I'm like, well, if I ever have a fan base, they're going to be the Van Samsonites because that's luggage.
oh, I thought you were going
yes,
with
yes,
precious
And
minerals.
it's funny. It's just
I like
yeah.
You'd have the Van Samsonites, and I'd just be stuck with the bad smells.
Oh man.
No.
And I feel like if I join your fan club, you're gonna like cut me up into pieces and stuff me in a suitcase and just leave me at a train.
See, always wonder. It's not
Yeah.
off the table. Yeah,
Nice.
it's possible.
All's fair.
We're looking at all options currently,
Yeah.
so it's possible you could end up in a suitcase, chopped into little bitty bits.
You
That
go
just kind of
from
makes me want to
go
sign
from
up.
1 fan to 50 because you cut them up. Really
Yeah, that's
fine.
how. See,
That's called spreading the
That is
demographic.
one way. Yeah, the more you know. That is one way of getting more fans. Although you can only do it once,
Yeah.
because then
Like
you go to
eating
jail.
certain mushrooms.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, only if you have really bad luggage and it leaks. You got
Yeah.
to get the top quality there.
I'm assuming
So-
I'd be terrible at murder. I mean, I'm pretty sure I would be rubbish at it and definitely get caught instantly. So, yeah.
This is why you hire a team. Like you got your
Oh.
legal team, your PR team, your murder team. It's
I need a Saul. I don't have a Saul to call.
Yeah.
I gotta call that guy. I better.
In Nebraska, we have places to take the bodies. It's just throwing that out there for you. I don't know about your fancy places up in the New England area, but
People make this too difficult. So all you need to do is get a kiddie pool in your garage, right? You hang them upside down from the rafter. You do the Geen method to drain the blood into the pool. Cool. And then after that, you just cut up the pieces. You get about about a half-inch of polyurethane, but you coat the parts in baby powder before you do it. And then you put the parts in a haunted attraction because you cannot tell the difference between that and what you buy from Spirit Halloween. They literally look the same.
go to Hell's Dungeon, everybody. It's
We
great.
locally source our bodies.
Might be your neighbors in there.
It could be.
I live in a coastal town, so it's just splash.
So
Oh,
when
look, somebody
when
fell
Rob
into
has to
the
kill
ocean.
somebody, whoops.
You just summons Cthulhu. It's just right there. It just
Rolling out
Pops up in
Devil's
stuff.
Reef,
Hey guys,
Okay. Yep.
sorry to interrupt, but I was just informed that my cutoff time is going to be 10 o'clock Central
Okay.
Standard Time.
So let us get started.
Sorry.
We
I didn't mean to
Oh,
push
no.
it like that. I just
Oh,
wanted
you're good.
you guys-
You're good.
if I disappear, that's the reason why.
Okay.
Would you
Poof.
like to go first
Into
tonight
a
then?
pumpkin. What?
Would you like to go first?
Um, here's the thing. We have graced in our presence several seasoned and talented writers, and then there's me.
Oh, bullshit.
Don't say
Bullshit, sir.
that.
So
There's no need to ever say that ever.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself down, sir.
now, mind you, what I
do
wrote
that.
was what a little bit of flash fiction, if you will. I wrote it within an hour while eating my dinner, kind of like in between bites of whatever it was that they
Sure.
made me. But I don't have to go first. I'm just, trying to tell you that, it's just, I
wanna
have a
hear
time
it.
limit. I have an
I wanna hear
expiration
it.
date.
It's
All
gonna
right.
pump up now. Now you
Yeah.
have to.
All right.
I want to hear the Chef Boyardee flash fiction.
The Ballad of Boyardee.
Oh,
It's very saucy.
are you a
Oh,
Franco-American or a Franco-Americant?
I'm more of a ravioli,
Oh,
but I'm doughy and filled with meat. Okay, so this is titled "The Adventures of Little Raz in Happy Birthday to Me."
nice.
It was a morning just like any other morning at the asylum for the criminally insane. Little Raz T Slasher awakened to the gloom, sat up, and rubbed his eyes. He blinked a couple of times, and then a big, scary little smile burst forth on his face. "Hooray! It's my birthday," Little Raz cried out. "Time to plan for my special party tonight." Little Raz hopped out of bed, shook off his straitjacket, and skipped to the closet in his padded room. This was where his pet Shoggoth slept at night. He threw open the door. "Time to wake up, kitty." That was the name of his Shoggoth. "It's my birthday today. Lots to do before tonight." In the blackness of the closet, several eyes opened up, followed by a slimy, slithery sound as Kitty began coming out of the closet space, out into Little Raz's room. Said Kitty. I know, said Little Raz. "But today's a special day. You know that. Come, let's eat some breakfast and prepare for the party tonight." So Little Raz and Kitty went from his room down to the kitchen and had breakfast. A big bowl of honey nuttos for Little Raz and a live penguin for Kitty. Their respective breakfasts gleefully slurped down, and Little Raz's bowl rinsed and put in the dishwasher. He said, "Time to invite all of my friends for my party tonight. It's going to be so much fun." Said Kitty. "Yep, that's the first person I'm going to invite. Let's go." Together, Little Raz and Kitty slithered out to the front lawn of the asylum they called home. They went out among the collection of trees and flowers into the shadowy part of the garden. "Delphine," cried Little Raz. "Oh, Delphine, where are you, bird?" Within a couple of minutes, a mighty flap of wings, followed by a caw, the old crow named Delphine landed on the tree directly behind Little Raz. "What is it that you wish, little boy?" she said. Little Raz couldn't help but clap his hands in delight. "You came! Oh, you came! Pretty bird." Sorry, I kind of I was trying to scroll. "I told you never to call me that lest I peck your eyes out and feed them to your pet there," said Delphine. "Now, what is so important that you would summon me from my slumber?" "Oh, Delphine, it's my birthday today, and I would be so happy if you could make it to my party tonight." "A party, you say?" Delphine let out a raucous caw. "Well, I would have to think about that. I may have a willing human host that I could put on, mingle with the rest of you mortals. Even if they're not willing, come anyway. It would be grand. And bring your monster friends," cried Little Raz. "Okay then," Delphine agreed. "Just remember, if you happen to start doing that biting thing again, I'm leaving." And with a caw and a flap of her wings, she left deeper into the woods of the garden. "Yay, Delphine is coming." I gotta stop scrolling when I'm trying to read. Sorry. Anyway, "Yay, Delphine is coming." Little Raz turned to Kitty, who was busy mind-flaying a rabbit that happened to come out to find its own breakfast. "Come on, let's go summon the others." The duo went back inside of the large Victorian house that was the abandoned asylum where Little Raz and Kitty lived. It was always gloomy inside, no matter how sunny and bright it was outside. But that's how Little Raz liked it. and he was never lonely because he had his pet Shoggoth and the collection of friends that lived in the basement that he met over the years and persuaded them to keep him company. And also the Nintendo 64 system, along with his well-played cartridge of GoldenEye. Little Raz and Kitty went into the large floor-level room, the one with the fireplace, the mirror, and the large crystal ball that he used for summoning his other friends. He first went up to the mirror, lit a candle, and held it up to his face. And, looking intensely into the mirror, he chanted, "Bloody Mary! Bloody Mary! Bloody Mary!" Soon, his reflection in the mirror disappeared as a smoky shadow darkened the glass. Then a figure stepped out of the darkness, a lady dressed in a black shroud, her face covered in a mourning caul, disheveled hair showing underneath. She lifted a shriveled, gnarly hand and began wailing. "Death! Death to you who summoned me," she cried. "Hello, Bloody Mary," said Little Raz. Bloody Mary dropped her hand and said, "Oh, hey there, Little Raz. What's doing?" "It's my birthday," said Little Raz, barely able to contain his excitement. "Can you make it to the party tonight?" "Sounds like fun. As long as one of the games is, of course, Bloody Mary, and there will be plenty of teenagers to scare." "Of course," said Little Raz. "And don't forget to invite the other urban legend friends. I haven't seen the lady in white for a while. I'd love to catch up with her again." "Sure thing, Little Raz. I'll see you all tonight then." And with a sweep of her arm, the smoky mist in the mirror cleared, and Little Raz was looking at his reflection once again. "One last person to talk to," he said. Turning behind him, he went to the large crystal ball in the middle of the room. There, he rubbed his hands over the smooth crystal glass. "Mr. Stabby, Mr. Stabby, come out and play." Soon, an image focused inside the glass ball. The disembodied head of a clown, shocking red and green hair, pale white skin, garish red makeup around his mouth, and an abomination of a smile, showing pointy teeth stained a different kind of red, and blue triangles above and below his eyes. "Well, hello there, Little Raz. How's my favorite fan doing?" said Mr. Stabby the clown. "It's my birthday today," answered Little Raz. "Can you come to my party tonight?" Mr. Stabby's mouth formed into an exaggerated O. "Well, of course I can come. I love parties. I'll be sure to bring my toys. Say, can the rest of the gang come too?" Little Raz clapped his hands together with glee. "Of course they can, Mr. Stabby. It's going to be so much fun. All righty then, bucko. See you tonight." "What? Bah, bah, bah." Mr. Stabby laughed as his head faded away. The entire afternoon was spent decorating and getting things ready. Little Raz ordered the biggest cake from the bakery in town, as well as dozens of pizzas from Little Caesars. Kitty was tasked with breaking up all the friends in the basement, dusting them off and propping them up around the house, decorated in party hats and various noisemakers. Their faces frozen in abject horror brought a whimsical touch to the festivities. Little Raz's favorite local horror punk band was booked to set up and play in the backyard of the asylum, and the resident spiders all came together and lent their own touch to the decor with cobwebs and a big orb web that said "Happy Birthday, Little Raz" on it. Little Raz lit candles and threw on a mix of his favorite horror movies to play silently on the television screen as the party went on. Before you knew it, the guests started arriving. There was Delphine, dressed in a lovely lady human, all in black and sporting tattoos that filled Little Raz with glee. All of the monsters and cryptids she knew started to arrive after, followed by the friends of Bloody Mary, who appeared outside of the mirror for the festivities, everyone of urban legend. Then Mr. Stabby arrived with everyone from his carnival of terror. Everyone was grooving to the music. Some brought their own party snacks along with a punch that really packed a kick. The pizza boy arrived with all of the pizza, and the hypnotist from the carnival made him think that he was given a gigantic tip before he left. At one point, somebody brought out the Necronomicon, and they all played Summon the Elder God. Kitty was having fun chasing around a bunch of uninvited college kids who decided to crash the party. Soon, it was time for his birthday gifts. Delphine gave Little Raz her first gift. "Here," she said, giving him a small box wrapped in what looked like human skin. "It's something I picked up in Morocco. Little Raz tore off the wrapping paper, and inside was a golden box with intricate detailing and an intriguing design. I know you like puzzles. This one, you don't want to solve immediately. Trust me. Then came Mr. Stabby's gift. It was a large, oblong box wrapped in brightly colored paper, splattered with blood, and tied with a bright purple bow. Here, everyone from the carnival chipped in on something. Little Raz tore it open, and inside was Mr. Stabby's favorite butcher knife, still caked with blood, as well as the machete from the camp stalker, the chainsaw from the leather-faced man, and could it be? Yes! The knife glove from the dream slasher himself. Oh, thank you, Mr. Stabby, and everyone at the carnival. I can't wait to play with these toys. Mr. Stabby looked like he was about to wipe away a tear, so he turned away and made for the cake. Come on, everybody, Little Raz cried out after all the gifts were opened. Let's go back out to the graveyard and play Raise the Dead. Ollie, ollie, oxen free. And so, grabbing the Necronomicon, Little Raz, Kitty, and everyone at the party ran outside in the back, whooping and hollering. It was the best party Little Raz ever had. The end.
That was fucking awesome.
That was amazing.
I'm clapping my hands just like in the story.
Dude.
All within an hour.
No, that was freaking fantastic. And honestly, that is like straight up. It doesn't even really need to be edited. That's just ready to be a kid's book for adults.
Yeah.
It needs to be
That's what it
ran
needs,
through
like-
a spell check at least, because I just wrote it on a notebook.
But that needs to
And-
be a kid's book for adults, like with all full illustrations. You know what I
Can it-
mean? Like a
can it be
kid's
a-
book.
Can it be a pop-up?
I mean, if you can
Bloody
hire,
Mary.
if you can afford a pop-up guy, that's all I could think of the whole time. Is great, man. Great job.
you
Oh, thank
pretty
you.
much
And don't
hit
put
everything
yourself
I loved.
down. Don't put yourself
Yeah.
down.
No,
No need.
everything I loved right down to the Little Caesars, man.
I tried to stare directly into the camera when I said that. So
Yeah. I absolutely love that. Thank you.
I was a little bit wondering about that moment. Are Little Caesars just so huge out there or something, or like what?
Well, it was during a story time where he was talking about his run-in with some shapeshifters, I guess.
Yeah, no, Little Caesars got brought up, but then there became a big debate on what like the best garbage pizza was. And for me, it's always been Little Caesars. To this day, I will still, if I just really want pizza,
Yeah,
I will literally just go to Little Caesars and get fucking pizza every fucking time.
there
And you
aren't
get
that
to
many
judge
around
your
where
girl.
I live. Only like one or two. You gotta like kind of find them.
They're everywhere in Ohio. Like
There's
it used to be
one
attached to all the video stores too, but now all the video stores have closed down, but all the Little Caesars are still right there next to the giant empty video store lots.
Every decent sized town here has a Little Caesars.
We've even got drive-through
Oh,
Little
weird.
Caesars now.
Wow.
I have never eaten at a Little Caesars. I must admit, like it just,
Well, you don't
You
really
value your
eat
insides,
at.
you'll keep it that
Well,
way.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I have never had Little Caesars pizza. I know the little guy pizza, but
Mm.
that's
Right.
all I know.
It's a pizza.
They aren't as huge here, and we had all those, like Godfathers and
We got
stuff.
all
So
that.
I was spoiled because my mom enjoyed good pizza,
No, we have
So-
amazing pizza here.
and I'm
just-
sure that they're good. But
I think they're good, but like
maybe.
I have a taste for them. Like there's way better pizza places, like a million better pizza places, but like
I
it's
know what
also
you mean,
the
though.
nostalgia.
Yeah, and there's something about like shit food once in a while, like it just hits right. It just hits different. Like I'm not gonna say like McDonald's makes good cheeseburgers, but like every now and then, like a McDonald's cheeseburger is like the greatest thing ever. I don't know
They
why.
They make tasty cheeseburgers.
Yeah, it's like
There's
it's
a
like everyone's.
difference.
Yeah, it has its own whole thing going on. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I
We're not
just
sure they
enjoy
taste
it
like they don't
sometimes.
taste like burgers, but they're tasty.
Yeah, they have taste. They are. They are.
Like, I
with
can't-
taste.
Salt and grease.
Most people I
Yes.
know just run to Taco Bell, but like my guts will literally not process Taco Bell. It makes me sick to death every time. And like Little Caesars is that one thing that I can eat that's trash. I can barely process it, but I can. So that's my version of Taco Bell.
You eke it out. You're just over
Yeah.
the line.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what
yeah.
amazes
Just
me
wait
is
for the
that
next
Little
week, but it's
Caesars,
worth it for that one bite.
Little Caesars has a method of keeping, just basically mass producing the pizza that McDonald's hasn't used for decades.
No, dude.
No.
I wish it was McDonald's pizza. I fucking missed McDonald's pizza. I love that
McDonald's
shit.
had pizza.
I didn't know that.
Dude,
very
yeah.
briefly. Very briefly. They also had spaghetti.
2 different
and-
times actually. The first time was brief. It was only for about a year or two. Then the second time they brought it back in the early '90s, and they had it for like it was a good couple years.
Man,
Learning.
I remember when Burger King had the tacos on the
Oh, I
dollar
don't remember
menu.
that.
Burger
Yeah.
King still has the tacos.
They do. McDonald's
Really?
actually also had tacos.
Man,
We don't.
I apparently
Weird.
completely missed all of this.
Yes.
Yeah, they had.
Hardee's had chicken. I know.
It's
Yeah.
that.
possible it just
McDonald's
wasn't
had fried
in our
chicken
area.
for a little while too. Like McDonald's did this big thing where they wanted to be like the super restaurant in the '90s. So they had chicken, tacos,
Mhm.
pizza. They did everything that you get at any other place. And this went on for like a couple years.
They
And
had
before
dinner for
every
adults served
Yeah.
to you by a guy with a big moon head.
Yep.
And
mm,
floating piano. Yeah.
it was so
we-
weird.
From Max and I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were just talking about Mac tonight. That was for you, Delphine.
you know,
Yeah.
I do miss the Arch Deluxe.
The Arch Deluxe. I was trying to think of what it was. That
Oh,
came
yeah.
later. That was after Mac Tonight. The Arch
Yeah.
Deluxe was like
Yeah.
their second try at getting sophisticated adults
Oh, yeah.
in for dinner. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the
have the Arch
McDLT?
Deluxe.
Oh yeah,
Where they
Oh, yeah.
kept the cold side and the hot side separate, so you just had to like take the weird. box
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I
The
do
show
remember
talks about that all
that.
the
Oh
time.
my god! I forgot
I got
all
that.
about that.
I got that every time I went there when it was out, and I was
Oh, my
probably
God.
the reason why the ozone is going bad.
I'm
So-
sure I washed a couple of those down with a nice OK soda because things were going to be okay, but
Yep.
now they're not. Now they're not. Now we're
Yeah.
I just
fucked.
remember when the pizza was out, we went camping all the time, like everywhere. But there was always one family camping spot we'd return to every year, no matter what. And their McDonald's, you can only get there by water. It was literally like on this little barge in the middle of the lake, and it had a drive-through, but it was for boats. So you'd get there, you tie up your boat to the dock, or you'd go through the boat drive-through. I'm not even fucking kidding. It's a thing. Or it was then, and you'd go,
Oh,
let's
man.
get pizza. So we hop in the boat, go across the lake, go through the little drive-through, and we just
That
get
is
like
awesome.
5 pizzas and go back to our campsite.
Well, I know there's a
Wow.
thing with like McDonald's as a company. They allow like a surprisingly a large amount of wiggle room with their franchisees. So like
Yes.
they encourage their franchisees to do crazy shit. So like, a Dunkin' Donuts or something, it's like, no, everything has to be specifically all the stuff you order from the catalog. You have to decorate everything the same way. And McDonald's are just like, actually, there's so many weird ones.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really fascinating. The only kind of weird one, there was one where I used to live that was straight up trying to be a sports bar. They had memorabilia all over the walls and nothing, not even the booths, nothing looked like any other McDonald's. They were trying to clearly class it up and make it a sports bar, but it was just a McDonald's. Like, it's the weirdest thing, but
We
kinda
had
cool.
dozens of those here. They called it the McDonald's Classic. And all the restaurants looked exactly like how you described. Like even the arch looked
Wow.
slightly different. Like it
Oh,
was,
so weird.
and then some of them instead would be set up like with the memorabilia, but they would look like a '50s diner instead. Like, it was a whole thing that they were
that's so
doing.
cool. That's so cool. That's so cool.
But fun
They just-
fact, you can get the McDonald's pizza still in one location in the entire world. And I guess not strangely, that location is in Ohio.
Yeah.
Just not near me.
Nice.
They just did something for a promotion for one of the movies coming out where they set up the whole McDonald's. You could go the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing.
Yeah.
I believe it
It's a
was.
pop-up.
There is one site in New York City that they set up for like over a weekend. They completely redesigned the interior of it and put in all this turtle stuff, and
Neat.
then took it all out. But
Neat.
like you could only go there for the one weekend, and they had all these like special meals and stuff. I think
Wow.
wasn't it Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? No. It was Loki.
I don't know what movie it was.
Because they have the new.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Loki.
Season
Yeah.
two,
Sauce.
yeah,
There we
because
go.
they made a Loki sweet and sour sauce,
Yeah.
and you could like they had 3 different meals that you could get, and one of them was chicken nuggets, and that one made sense because you got the special Loki sauce with it, but then you also got a quarter pounder with cheese or a Big Mac meal, and each of those also came with special
The
Loki
sauce.
sweet and sour sauce, which I guess if you dip fries in sweet and sour sauce, that's
Yeah.
good. But I don't know.
Sure. You guys
Because-
make me want to leave my house more often.
I don't do that.
Because much like Sour Patch Kids, Loki starts off sour, but then he's sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will be leaving my house just to get those Halloween pails they're coming out with in
Oh,
October.
yeah. Do you remember when you used to be able to buy VHS tapes at McDonald's?
Yeah.
It'd be like a collection of like the most famous, like Dances with Wolves was one you could buy at one point for a while. Disney did a thing where you could buy Disney movies.
Hold on. Look at this. Look at this. I don't even have to go far. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, the Halloween pail, yeah.
This is the original.
Oh wow.
Oh man,
This
McPunky.
is 1985. It says on the bottom.
Wow.
Holy
I remember
crap.
buying those, man.
I don't know if you can really make it out. But
The
it
meal's
does-
still in there, I see.
Nope. No, it is full of battle beasts.
Okay. Okay.
Wait.
Yeah.
I'll prove that too. Wait, look. Since I was a little kid, I've used these to store my battle beasts. And look, it's little Delphine. Here we go. I just I could never part with these. I just still have them. I have 2 buckets. I also have McGoblin, which is the evil looking one.
Yeah,
Ooh.
nightmare-inducing one for children.
Yeah, I could never part with those. And that was like way before anybody gave a shit about them. I feel like now it's this thing. And I remember they came back last year and people were butthurt that the top wasn't like fully molded, which is fair. Like why did they do that?
Yeah, that was an odd choice.
But I'm like, oh man, I could never get rid of mine. I don't know why.
Yeah.
For some
I'm
reason I
old
just love those.
I remember given the
enough
80s,
to
they would come with
remember-
little coupons too. Like you get the coupon for the free fries that would come inside
Yeah.
the bucket. And
Yeah.
See,
Those are fun times.
I'm old enough to remember when I was watching the commercials where they were making a big deal of we're serving breakfast now.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays it's kind of taken for granted. But
Yeah.
back in it wasn't that long ago when they introduced Birdie the early bird and started making McMuffins.
yeah,
It was
They
Shout out
other-
to Brill Pro who's
Yeah.
you're just hanging out with us. Hey Brill.
Oh, yeah.
Are you-
We
that's
love him so
Tom
much.
Don.
Yeah,
Okay.
we love Tom.
Tom's awesome.
Hey Tom.
You should be here.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Get it together, Tom. Get in here.
What's that, Tom?
join the party.
The other thing that I'm excited
Dance
for this
party.
year for Halloween collections, and instead of just like the cereals and stuff that came out, Snoop Dogg's wine, 19 Crimes, has put out. I don't know if you know about the bottle thing with those. They have augmented reality, so you get your phone and you like look it up, and the label starts talking to you. They made a vampire one and a Frankenstein's monster one.
Yeah,
that
Dracula
glow in the
and
dark and move.
yeah, Dracula and Frankenstein. I've looked for them in the stores, and they're not out yet or something, or they're not where I am. But I am looking for them. But yeah,
Yeah, I
discovered
keep
something
looking on the
about
thing
them.
because you can check out where they are by bottle online, like 100 miles within this area code
Okay.
and stuff.
So after you first told me about them, I was in the haunt one day looking through our back room for props and stuff, and I saw a big thing for it, and I was like, oh, it must just be like coincidence. Well, then I stumbled upon our storeroom I just don't go in often. We have standees and all kinds of shit from it, because it turns out one of the people that works for us in management does demos for like wine and liquor and like and spirits and stuff at different stores, and is very close with one of the main reps for them. So we have like a bunch of shit in the haunt. We just keep getting more shit from them, and we might be getting some of this stuff from the Halloween bottles that are coming out.
Oh, very
I
nice.
just found out about this on
Nice.
Friday. I was like, holy shit, that's what that is. Okay.
If you find out, if you can talk to them, like, are they gonna? Can you ask them if they're gonna be releasing them like later in the year, or if we have to?
Yeah,
order?
I'll
'Cause
ask.
that'd be cool.
Amy will know. I'll ask her about like when they're going to come out, because she talks to the rep like all the time, and I guess he loves our haunt, so that's how we have all this shit. Apparently, that I didn't know we had.
Jenny, could you move so we okay, there we go. You're not frozen. Good. You've been very quiet. Okay.
Hi.
Howdy-ho.
Ah, Gal Friday. She's been busy keeping us represented. and doing
She,
everything else, and writing, and the kids, and the
she sent me a
I
lovely
live-
video on my birthday that had I had there was a Dell in it. There was a James in it. Jenny's whole family was in it. Like it was such an awesome. There's a little thing from John in it. It was awesome. I actually got to watch that on the day of. I was at the hot when I saw it. So like 10 other people saw it. And they were all like, "Oh man, that's so cool." So thank you.
Okay.
Can we see it?
I don't
Are
want
you
to take
able
time
to
to
show
load
it?
things again.
Okay.
Oh, does
We'll
Raz
pop it up.
want us to play it?
I don't have it downloaded on my computer. I watched it on my phone the other day.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't have it downloaded on mine either.
Yeah, I would need to get a copy of it, download it, and then reload it. And
Yeah.
I
We'll put it up
think-
soon though.
I think we should jump into another story, though.
Yes.
Another Raz story. Who would like to go next? Any volunteers? Or
So who's reading tonight?
everybody here?
Oh wow.
Well, I can go ahead. I'll hop in.
Go
I
for it.
gotta preface this. This is from a project that Raz and I were both working on a while ago, a couple years ago, and it was a collaborative project. And it's going to sound really weird, but I'm going to explain it as briefly as possible. It was a Brighter Futures Suicide Hotline was the collaboration, and it was a suicide hotline that was being run by gods and demigods and fights between heavens and hells and different entities from various religions. And they were trying to take over the world through a suicide hotline, kind of. And so they were introducing all of these new things, and the one of the goddesses, God, I can't even remember which one we made her be, but had released all the, she had control of all of the waters, and so there was like waters from the Norns of Yggdrasil and the well down there, and all sorts of different things, and from the different rivers in hell and stuff. And so they started using these to like control people, to like make them forget things, to give them knowledge of things, to make them live longer and be brighter and do different stuff. So this is one of the stories that featured in that, and it's about the suicide hotline sending their employees on a spa weekend. Things have been rather stressful lately at my job. I work for a suicide hotline, so you might assume that things are always stressful, and you'd be correct. But now, it's more than just the calls. Our company itself is having some serious issues as well. Beyond that, though, last week, I had a call that no one could have prepared for. At least, that's what I tell myself. I'm not going to get too descriptive. I don't want to go through it all again. But it started as a somewhat typical call, and resulted in the caller killing his wife and twin daughters before rushing out the door with his gun in his hand and the phone with me in the other to commit suicide via police. I was given the rest of the night off, and then HR called me and told me they'd set me up with a spa weekend to relax. It took place on Wednesday, and they told me not to come in the rest of the week. For my weekend, they set me up in a new spa that had opened up in town, Soul Spa and Retreat. I was to check in Friday and stay there through Sunday afternoon. After looking them up online to confirm my reservation, I saw that the spa was open to customers for appointments for their various services, and also included some rooms for people who would be staying to enjoy multiple treatments just to relax. They had an on-site cafe, the Cornucopia Cafe, as well as the Luna Cocktail Lounge. I almost didn't make to the connections, but they also own Stag Springs, the company that just started providing our company's water cooler and water bottles in the vending machine. I recognized the name listed in some of the treatments offered in the spa as such as the soaks. I knew they also provided bottled waters, but didn't realize that they had such a wide variety of products like mineral waters specifically for soaking in. Apparently, all of the companies are subsidiaries of Elysium Incorporated, a fitting name for a company providing relaxation and refreshment services, I guess. I packed comfy clothes and a couple of nicer outfits in case I decided to go to the Luna, and left my cats some extra food and water for the weekend. The building was set so that separate entrances were available for the spa, the cafe, and the lounge on one side for people just coming in for a single visit, and around to the side was the entrance to the retreat section, which held the rooms as well as its own entrances to those services. When I checked in, I was given a brochure of the services available to me through the package that my employers had covered, and the desk clerk offered to explain any of the spa treatments I might not be familiar with before telling me how to locate my room. The design of the retreat section was vaguely Egyptian, but not tackily so. Sand-colored walls and a few statues here and there made up the majority of the decorations. It was very minimalistic overall. My room was comfort itself, though. A huge, soft bed, a long sofa set before a television that offered some channels of music or sound simply for relaxation, along with soothing pictures. A claw-footed tub and a shower both in the bathroom, and dressers, a closet, and a nice desk where I'm sitting here typing this up. After first checking in and looking over the brochure, I chose to undergo the Stygian soak. It was described as a very deep mud bath for pulling all of the toxins out of one's blood and body and promoting skin and general health. I wouldn't say I believe much in crystals and herbs and the like, but as long as I'm staying here for free, it can't hurt to try out some of these things that I hadn't tried before, particularly those that would normally be out of my price range. There was a very fluffy robe in the closet that I was told to wear for my first treatment, and someone came to my room to lead me down to the spa. The Stygian soak was so dark as to nearly be black and very warm. After I settled in, the attendant smeared some mud over the majority of my face and neck as well, and then covered my eyes with apple slices. I had assumed there would be cucumbers involved, but I wasn't going to argue. I don't know anything about this stuff. She offered to bring me in something to drink if I would like, water, juice, or a smoothie, as at this point putting alcohol in my body would just be adding a toxin while they were trying to remove them from my body. When she mentioned the pomegranate smoothie, I went for it. That stuff is expensive. I might as well enjoy all of the freebies. The mud bath definitely surprised me. It was relaxing. The tension just seemed to melt out of my muscles and joints. And whatever the process of toxin removal is, I will say that my entire body felt stronger and less heavy, less stressed than usual. Whatever the apples were supposed to do, I guess they did. My eyes no longer had that terrible itchiness that comes from staring at screens all day in and out, and the dark circles I had developed from my nightmares had vanished as well. The smoothie was excellent. I was happy to hear that they were available from the cafe and that the cornucopia was working towards filling grocers' shelves and vending machines beyond their own sites. The whole experience was starting off wonderfully. I was already ready to leave a 5-star review and maybe start setting aside some of my checks for another visit. Elysium Inc. had my support in their endeavors for sure. Once I was cleaned up from the mud bath, I had lunch delivered to my room. I spoiled myself with croissants and apple butter and some pomegranate juice, which was just as tasty as a smoothie. I was told they had their own supply of pomegranates, which is why they tasted so much better than normal. Honestly, I hadn't tried pomegranate juice too often in the past, so I took their word for it. I was prepared to drink the stuff the entire time I was here, though. It really was that good. After lunch, I was scheduled for a massage with some of their lavender lethargy lotion in my room. They brought up the table and I was just wrapped in a towel. Normally I'm a bit shy about things like that, but something about the place made me feel comfortable enough to go for it, and I'm so glad that I did. Whatever tension was left in my body was worked out from it with the strong hands of my masseuse, and that lotion left me half asleep. She was kind enough to help me to my bed for a nap afterwards, and told me that's a normal reaction. I had my first bit of sleep that didn't involve some sort of nightmares in a long, long time. That last call might have been the one that broke me, but honestly, stepping back for a moment for the first time since I had started, every call was a stressor, and most of my nights were rough since I had started working there. I woke up a bit late for dinner, but discovered I could go down to the lounge and still catch something from the kitchen as well as a couple of drinks. I dressed in my nicest dress and didn't bother much in the line of makeup other than some lipstick. My skin seemed to be glowing from the treatment earlier, and there was no reason to cover it with paints and powders. The Luna Cocktail Lounge was dark with patterns of moon cycles as the trim on the wallpaper, and small lamps suspended from the ceiling in blues and purples with tiny twinkling white lights give off the the impression of twilight. I took a seat just off the bar and ordered a basic cheese and olive tray to nibble on while I had a glass of wine. There were some other customers and a few at the bar and some at the tables that had couches and armchairs around them having subdued conversations, all of it blending in with the ambient music. When the bartender came back to clear my dishes and offer another drink, he asked me if I would like to try one of their signature cocktails. Looking over the menu, I asked him what exactly the Green Ferryman was. I had heard of a green fairy before, but I'd never tried absinthe. Perhaps now is the time. He told me it was a traditional absinthe, sugar cube, and water drip, which substituted a variety of stag spring water as the water drip. Generally, it was suggested for those who were drinking to forget something. As that was the reason that I was there, I decided it would be the perfect end to the night. I had 2, I believe, or was it 3, green ferrymen before I realized that they were quite potent, and I decided to call it a night. I needed to use the bathroom before wandering back to my room, so I headed off in the direction that they were in. At least I thought so. I hadn't actually used them, but I had seen a few people leave and go down that hallway and assumed that was where they were going. You know what assumption does, but I learned again the, well, very interesting way. Walking down the hallway, I heard some noises coming from further down. There seemed to be panting, mewling, cursing, and the occasional bitten-off shout. I began to wonder if there wasn't something even more relaxing where those sounds were coming from, if you know what I mean. Feeling rather naughty, but also quite inebriated and curious, I followed the hallway to a door, and then down a flight of steps. I was thinking that either some couple had wandered off to a storeroom, or perhaps I had discovered a secret sex dungeon and wondered why the doors weren't locked, or at least monitored, when I was able to identify the door from behind which the noises were coming. It was warmer here. I thought perhaps the water heaters were close by, and I was sweating a bit. I quietly opened the door to peek inside, and that's when I discovered how completely wrong I was. Heat washed over me from the crack in the door I'd opened, and within that room it had to be well over 100 degrees. The room was carved stone somehow, unlike the wooden walls of the hallway, and strapped tightly to a stone near the far back corner was a man with a rag wrapped stick in his mouth. He was completely naked, and his body was emaciated, ribs sliding sharply under his skin as his body writhed against the stone every time a drip of water landed on his feet from the icicle above him. Blood stained his skin from where the rock had sliced it, and bruises seemed to color more of his skin than not. His feet were frozen to the ground, with rough juts of ice climbing up his ankles and thickening over his feet. There was a bowl set aside on a table near the rock. Both appeared to be stone. He looked at me the second I cracked the door and began gesturing his head towards the bowl and looking nearly relieved. That the man was being tortured was obvious, and definitely not in the way I initially thought. Either way, there was no way I was setting foot in that room. The heat was too much, and I had no desire to go anywhere near whatever that ice was. Perhaps this was where the other people had gone to hold the bowl over him for a while. But I wasn't about to put myself in that position. I closed the door, wincing at his muffled screaming and sobbing when he realized I wasn't going to help him, and made my way back up the stairs. The bartender caught me when I was coming out of the hallway and asked if I was okay before having someone escort me back to my room. They set a couple of bottles of water near my bed and got off my shoes before tucking me in. This morning, I decided to get a smoothie delivered, along with some pastries, in my room for breakfast while I type all this out. I've really found a gem of a place here. I wish I could just stay forever. I've scheduled some wraps and scrubs for later today, and we'll get a mani-pedi and waxing done tomorrow so that none of the treatments damage the polish. When I opened the desk drawer to find another cable, I discovered a number of brochures in there, including one from my company, along with one from another company that looks to have similar aims, a crisis center. When I looked them up online, I saw they were hiring, and for a good deal more than what I'm being paid. I love my company. They provided this weekend of bliss for me, but they were also the reason that I needed to have something like this to begin with. At least the other place, I might be able to afford it on my own. You're probably wondering about the guy in the basement. Could it have been the drinks? It might have been, but I highly doubt it. Well, let me forget all about why I was here to begin with. Other than the general inebriation, there was no other effect, not even a hangover, and it was far too real to all my senses. I can still recall the smell of his filthy body and sweat. I can see perfectly his bloodshot eyes flickering over everything in the room, and the way his mouth was raw against that stick and the cloth shoved in it. I remember the deadening of his skin, of his legs, or the coldness against the ice. I hadn't really thought about it all last night, but that had to be why the skin there looked so bad. He really must have been in there for a while. I wondered how often they fed him. I have no idea how that ice was staying attached to the ceiling with how hot it was in there, nor how it reformed when it landed on him. But I'm not a scientist. I probably should be more concerned, but this place is really wonderful. I've seen the miracles that they can do with whatever it is they have in the waters here. I was broken and am being healed. He must have a reason for being the way he is. If they think he needs to be broken, I'm sure they know what they're doing. I'm not going to let it ruin the rest of my stay either. On a final note, if you get a chance to try a product from Elysium, I suggest you treat yourself well and do it.
That was a fun one, man.
Nice. Very fun.
Nicely done.
There's a lot of different gods and things taking place in this crossover when we were doing it, so it was so hard to get it. Like the green ferryman, the water was from the Leth or Leith. How are you?
Leafy.
Lethe.
I always said leafy.
However you decide to pronounce it. I think everybody has their own like mental pronunciation, and then somebody Greek tells you, and you're like, oh.
Like everything else, yeah.
It's pronounced hero.
Hero, not Hero.
The Stygian,
Gyro.
the ferryman is now taking cryptocurrency instead of the 2 pennies.
Yeah, that was a fun project, Red or Future Suicide Hotline. Originally, Natalie Brown came up with that and kind of did a big thing where they got the collective going, did a whole season of it, which later got picked up on No Sleep, if I recall correctly. Not just the subreddit, but the podcast for a little bit. And then they decided to do a new season and brought us into it. So we had a lot of fun with that one for quite a while. It was really cool.
It just got very difficult to juggle because there were so many people, each bringing in their different.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was a lot. Yeah. It was cool though. Definitely a blast from the past, man.
Yeah. So that was one of the first projects we worked on together. So that's why he gets to have that one.
Very cool.
I miss collectives. We haven't actually done like a big collective in a while. The last one I think was the arcade. I think it was officially the last one we did.
Yeah, I'm working on the lore for. We're working on a new project together about a cul-de-sac that has a haunted house in it where you hear stories from everybody but the people living in the house. So all of the gossip and the different observations from people living around the house that all know it's haunted, and seeing the new neighbors moving in and seeing their experiences from the outside. So
Delivery drivers, pretty much anything you can think of, just not ever people from inside.
I don't know.
Right.
The last time I joined a collective like that, I had to be kidnapped by my family and deprogrammed. It was kind of messy.
Well, it's good that you can talk about it now.
It was.
That's good.
I still have flashbacks and blackouts. I wake up naked, covered in mustard for some odd reason. I don't know. It's just...
Is that
Singing
that
in the
mustard?
rain,
Is that the spicy brown or the traditional yellow?
Oh, Ray Poupon.
Ooh.
Very posh.
Very posh, yes.
I remember when those commercials came out, like anytime anyone would rent a limo for like a dance at like middle school, junior high, all that, we'd always get a bottle of Grey Poupon to put in the back. So you'd stop at the stoplight, you just roll your window down and be like...
And now I just picture the Leonardo DiCaprio meme that like they think they're so hilarious. Give some Grey Poupon.
we were all witty as
brown
fuck
like
at the time.
everybody else.
Yeah.
all right. So who would like to hop in and be the next storyteller?
Bueller.
I can go. That's fine. So all right.
Hold on 1 second. We're gonna add Tom Dog in.
Oh,
Hey. What's up,
Hey,
man?
how's it going, everybody?
We are
Hey,
just getting ready for Steve. So
how's it going, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Doing good.
Good to
That's
see you.
good. Good seeing you too, Raz. Happy birthday week.
Thanks, man.
all right, everyone, get ready to mute. We're going into Steve Van Samson.
I think I heard it that time. Okay, so this story is this is a brand new one. It is pretty short. It is I usually write, even my short stories are usually about 3 times as long as this one. This one's like pretty short. It has not been read by me anywhere. It has not been published, so it's just at this point a thing I wrote. And happy birthday, Raz! Hope you like it. I hope you like classic cars, because if you do, then this will be even more for you. If not, then maybe somebody does. I don't know. This is Dusk Blue Camaro. Dawn was watching the dirt road with a mixture of nostalgia and dread. It had been almost 15 years since she'd last been this close to her grandfather's house, and all sorts of nerves and forgotten memories were bubbling to the surface. Well, the passenger's voice rumbled with the harsh texture of the road. This is fun. Oh, it's the best, Dawn rattled back. You know, when I was little, this road felt like it was 100 miles long. I wish they would just pave the thing. As the rocky surface reverberated through the car and into the young woman's bones, more and more memories were returning. To make it less terrible, my dad and I used to do dueling Vaders. In the passenger seat, Maeve looked confused. You know, Dawn said with a tired smile. Luke, I am your father. She said the phrase in her deepest, most drawn-out voice, allowing the road to lend its rumbling effect. I want to know what happened to the plans they sent you. Despite never being a Star Wars fan, Maeve couldn't help but smile too. Just ahead was the last house on Gentle Rain Drive, the one that, according to Dawn's lawyers, belonged to her now. The mailbox stood at an angle from the ground, but was otherwise just as she remembered it. Around the rusty old thing were what had to be over a dozen packages, all placed at the foot of a hand-painted sign which read, "Leave all deliveries here." 2 exclamation points. God, I hope none of those are groceries, said Maeve, savoring the stillness of the non-moving vehicle. With my luck, Dawn shrugged, half of them are probably raw meat and yogurt. The 2 friends looked at each other and after a few serious seconds shared a laugh. Are you ready for this? Maeve raised her eyebrows. Not really, Dawn said, releasing a long sigh. But the quicker we get this over with, the sooner we can get back to that brew pub we passed. There's my girl, Maeve briskly tapped the woman's hand. As the Mazda turned off the dirt road, rocks were fired behind and sent plink-plunking under the chassis. The long driveway had been paved, but not recently. As Dawn's eyes drank in the surroundings she had not seen in well over a decade, her heart renewed in its nervous pounding. The tree on the right brought back visions of summer. She could still hear nearby chickadees calling out their names, while a much younger version of herself played in its branches. The Mazda was parked in front of an old farmhouse. Seeing its current state caused Dawn's heart to sink. Aside from a much-needed coat of paint, the front porch was sagging on one side, and there were numerous missing shingles. Her eyes moved from blemish to blemish until her attention was eventually pulled to a dilapidated barn off to the left. For the long while, she stared silently at the structure, focusing on the wide double doors, which seemed to be pulsing in time with her heart. So, how long has it been? Maeve's voice practically made Dawn jump out of her skin. Oh, she swallowed hard, then turned to look back at the house. 15 years. That was the last time I spent any time here. Her stern expression gave way to a wistful smile. Used to be 3 weeks every summer. We called it Grandpa Camp. Maeve put a hand on her friend's shoulder, and for a brief second their eyes met. She knew some of what had happened back then, how Dawn's grandfather had abruptly severed all ties and communication with the family when the girl was barely 12. The man never gave an explanation for this, nor had he ever reneged on the decision, refusing to reach out to his granddaughter, even when both her parents were killed in a head-on collision less than a year later. It was all too much for someone so young. Hell, if it hadn't been for Dawn's aunt and uncle, she would have been forced through the system. Why do you keep looking at that barn? Maeve asked. Oh, I was just wondering if he kept it. After saying this, Dawn began walking toward the old barn. It was his special lady, the thing that he loved more than us. Hearing this, Maeve's expression fell, though she didn't say anything. Not that I can blame him, Don went on. She certainly was something. A 1969 Chevrolet Camaro Z28, dusk blue. Harry used to let me work on her with him. Just little things, but still, after a while, she kind of became our special lady. Standing before the double doors, Dawn could see they were fastened with an oversized padlock. After trying both of the keys that had been bequeathed to her by the estate lawyer, she frowned. Shit. Well, the key for this must be in the house, somewhere. Just then, Maeve squealed, jumping about 2 feet back. What? Dawn gasped. What happened? Something it went under the door. A snake, I think. Dawn shook her head and snickered. Welp, this is the outside, princess. They have those here. Maeve responded with a crisp, fuck you smile, and then gave in to a full-body shudder. Can we just go check out the house now? Sure. Come on. Dawn put her arm around her friend. It wasn't until the girls were almost to the lopsided porch before one of them spoke again. Dawn? Yeah? You ever see a white snake with a red tail? When you used to stay here, I mean? Dawn thought for a moment and then shook her head. Grandpa Camp had the occasional garter, maybe, but nothing like that. Realizing her friend needed additional comfort, she pursed her lips. Look, I really appreciate you being here, coming all this way. I know it's not fun, but there's no way I could have done this alone. Maeve let out a deep, cleansing breath. I mean, it's kind of fun. She glanced over at the barn. There just better not be any more snakes. For the next 45 minutes, the two friends took in the hoarder's dream that had belonged to Harry Lagrange. The cracked ceilings, every creaking board, and the uncountable stacks of old books and boxes, they were all Dawn's now. As it turned out, the packages they'd seen at the foot of the drive were barely the tip of an iceberg. It was all too much to process. The horror of unwanted responsibility that she had inherited from a grandfather who had stopped acknowledging her existence a long time ago. For a fleeting second, she considered leaving a candle burning beside one of those towering book pillars on her way out. Hey, called Maeve from the kitchen. There are some keys on the wall over here. Oh yeah? Anything that looks like it's for a huge freaking padlock? Or maybe an old Chevy? Not really. These ones are all labeled cellar, attic, back door, side door. Geez, she scoffed. Guy had a different lock for every door in the house. Paranoid much? Dawn hit a surge of sadness with an exaggerated shrug. Once in the kitchen, she started checking the drawers and cabinets. But after another 20 minutes of soul-crushing disappointment, she released a sigh. How about we call it for today? Maeve looked surprised. Really? What about upstairs and the cellar? Dawn shook her head. Next time. I just want to peek at the backyard and we can go. After exiting the way they'd come in, the two women moved around the house, though through the unmanaged grass. While Maeve worried about unseen snakes in the grass, Dawn stared at the decrepit side structure. Though it was probably a trick of the wind, she could swear the barn was whispering to her, steering her feet in a new direction. Feeling inexplicably lightheaded, her foot connected with something that made a crisp cracking sound. Did you just break something? Asked Maeve. Looking down, Dawn put a hand over her mouth. She was unable to restrain a swell of emotion as she beheld the now smashed lawn ornament. Oh my God, she said, drawing out the phrase. I remember now. I wanted to paint it blue to match the car. As she lifted the largest of the clay pieces, something fell out. The leather fob was emblazoned with the Chevrolet symbol and connected to a pair of keys via a silver ring. When she stood up, Dawn grinned before making a beeline for the barn. Maeve, on the other hand, was in no hurry. From a short distance, she watched as her friend fumbled with the padlock for a few seconds before letting out a triumphant whoop. After that, the doors were thrown wide open and the woman disappeared inside. For a series of slowly taken steps, Maeve just listened, waiting to hear some sign of what had been found within. She couldn't have said why she was so nervous. That gross white snake with a red tail was certainly playing a part, but there was more to it. A pervasive dread that she couldn't shake about that ugly old barn. Dawn? She called out nervously. Hey, what'd you find in there? Receiving no answer, Maeve swallowed and took 2 more steps. Donnie? It's here, the voice echoed from inside the barn. I fucking knew he'd never give this thing up. His own flesh and blood, sure, but not his precious Z-28. Maeve was almost to the gaping doors when she'd heard the sound of a very old engine trying to start. Once Maeve stood in the double doors, she could feel reverberations on her skin, perhaps from the struggling engine, perhaps from something else. It's spinning, but it won't turn over. Dawn sounded pissed. Come on, you sack of shit. Start! If Harry took such good care of you, prove it. Just turn the fuck over. When the engine roared back to life, something strange happened. From Dawn's perspective, the hood flew open so fast it nearly smashed into the windshield before slamming shut again with a loud bang. Stranger still was the fact that her very good friend was no longer there. Abruptly, she exited the dusk blue Camaro, wearing a look of confusion. Maeve? Receiving no answer, Dawn moved to the gaping doorway, right where her friend had been only seconds before. Confounded, she looked up and down Harry's property, but there was nobody. Maeve! Dawn called out louder this time, but the result was no different. With a hand on her forehead, she turned back to the still-running Z-28. What she saw caused her breath to freeze in her lungs. There was a foot and part of a leg sticking out of the car's hood. An unlikely place for a limb, made worse by the fact that it was wrapped in what looked like the tails of numerous snakes. They were hideous, glistening like a mass of wet intestines, and except for the last 6 inches, every one of them was a sickening, milky color. Dawn's breath returned in great heaves as she shot forward, but when she threw open the hood, what she found was too horrible to describe. Aside from the folded, half-swallowed remains of her best friend, something else had taken up residence in the Camaro, something outside of basic human comprehension. With the force of a shotgun blast, a mass of pale, red-tipped tentacles shot up and coiled around her throat. As tears flowed, she waited for the end, but the thing under the hood did not squeeze. In that terrible moment, as otherworldly whispers filled her up, Dawn understood that she had been wrong about one thing for a very long time. As it happened, Harry Lagrange had loved his granddaughter more than anything. He had simply needed to keep her away, to protect her from the indescribable burden that had turned their special lady into a nest. That's it. The end.
Bravo, sir.
Kind of gruesome.
Yeah. That was
My favorite part was the
amazing.
one raised eyebrow and just a strange place for a limb. I mean,
I'm truly honored that you read that today, man. Seriously, that was an amazing story. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
awesome. No, my pleasure. I'm glad you liked it, man. Very cool. Thank you.
Claps from Shannon.
Hey, Shannon.
Thank you. Oh, bow. Thank you, Shannon.
I remember when Z28s were like everywhere well, probably not that level of a one, but James, do you remember the Fremont days when everybody was driving their Camaros and it was like all the cool kids had Camaros? I had a Mustang, but it was like a modern Mustang, so I was like, cool.
So I very much appreciate classic cars. I know jack shit about cars. I can do like an oil change. I can change my tire, like simple stuff. But man, I like looking at classic cars quite a bit. Actually, I go to a lot of car shows because we promote at a lot of car shows for the haunt too. So I kind of use that as an excuse to go in and look at all the cars.
I'm really not like a big car guy per se, but I wrote that story for my wife, and she's a big car fan, and that was her favorite classic car always and stuff. So I just wanted to at some point do a story like about the Z28. But it 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 was written for an open call that needed it to be really, really short. So I was really striving for that 2,000 word limit. So yeah, I don't know. I still haven't heard back, but I don't know. I'm throwing caution into the wind by reading it tonight. I don't know. I don't think it's gonna happen.
It was good.
But I'm glad you did.
Shannon, yeah, you had the Mustang. Did you have a good Mustang though, or were you like me and had I had an '89 Mustang, so it didn't count. You know, did you have the nice old like '63, '64 Mustang?
I had an '83 Chevy Cavalier, with a hatchback.
Hell yeah, man. When I was growing up, my dad had an all-white, white interior, white-walled tires, a 51 Chevy that he restored himself. And he said, son, this is going to be your car someday. Then, of course, we fell on hard times, and that thing was the first fucking thing in the household to go.
I had a great love for like the 68, 69 Impalas. And somebody owns an Impala because if they own one of them, they own 7 of them that are on various states of being taken apart to put into the other one of them that they actually drive once a month when they get a kind of like the Harley people with like everything on the porch. Oh, I gotta fix the Harley again. What? Not that I'm saying anything's wrong with Harleys, but they always tinker.
Oh yeah, you got to tinker.
Yeah.
66 hardtop, pale blue with white.
Now, my ultimate favorite car that I ever owned was a 1989 Ford Festiva. Ooh, the micro minivan, I called it. My friends called it the hamster mobile because the engine seemed like it was just a hamster on a wheel. That thing, oh my gosh, you can like go forever on $5 worth of gas.
Oh yeah.
And it had room in there, just not in the back seat.
Right.
But it just, I drove that thing into the ground literally because it just, the tires were cheap because they're really small, and it went on forever. I went on so many road trips on that thing that the engine just literally just quit, started billowing black smoke. The timing belt just was shot. I had to sell her for scrap.
Yeah.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. That sucks.
Yeah.
It was what'd you say, 89 Ford Festiva?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, what color was it?
It was red.
Red.
Crimson red.
Tinkering.
Blood.
That's just so they can keep touching them and not be weird. I like that.
I like to
tinker. Oh yeah, I remember these things. 100%. Oh my god, yeah. 100%.
Yeah, it's
absolutely. That is so funny.
Fun
that
fact.
Is such it looks like an Autobot shoe.
Yes, it does. It's like it's actually still respectable step up from the look of those smart cars. Because the first time I saw a smart car, I thought, "Where's the rest of it?"
Yeah,
it looked like a Transformers roller skate.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, I totally get it. Until a couple of years ago, I was driving a Mini.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
bigger on the inside than it was on the outside.
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
Papa, whenever we drive around, he'd be like, "I want one of those." He's developed a thing for minis, and for the newer Bugs Volkswagen Bugs when they came out. He thought they were just awesome.
It was fun.
I've been fascinated by them. I was in a test drive once, and I'm not like exceptionally tall or anything. I'm only like a little over 6 foot, but I'm very wide. And I went to sit down in the seat, and like I'm in that seat, and like about a quarter of the seat next to it, and my knees, like the way they came up and hit it, like I couldn't even do the test drive. I just could not even do the test drive, so I'm not doing it. But I know now they make a lot better ones than when I looked at them before that are roomier that I can fit into. I've just I'm not tried it yet.
Now the Dodge Omnis, I know my parents had a couple of those. That's like driving like go-kart. Your knees are up around your ears.
Yeah, I had one of those too.
Yeah. It's like, oh god.
I will be right back, guys. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right.
Christ, I don't remember what year it was, but it was my first car was a Dodge Omni.
Nice.
I've had a Dodge Omni, which was tiny. I had a Plymouth Horizon, which was tiny,
Yes.
and a Mini.
I've owned a couple of Neons in my time.
Neons, yeah.
I don't recommend it.
My friend used to drive a Geo Metro, and this was an intelligent decision on his part because we partied a lot. We went downtown a lot. There was never any parking, and he wanted to buy the smallest car he could that would still fit all of us. And he went through like 7 or 8 different used lots, and he would bring us all with him in his mom's car. And the ticker to be what he would buy it if we could all lift it. And sure enough, we found this Metro that it was just small enough and just light enough that we could pick it up and move it. So he bought it, and sure enough, we would go and we would party all the time. And if we couldn't find parking, we would just lift up the car and find the spot to set it in that was technically parking. And then when we leave, we just pick it up, set it back on the road, and we'd all get in and we'd drive away.
Like that Mentos commercial.
Kinda.
Now, my dream car, what I'd like to get sometime. Probably never will at this point, but I always wanted to get a Cooper, and a white Cooper, and around the headlights draw the Alice Cooper eye makeup, and then on the back just stencil in the word Alice over the word Cooper.
Over top of it there.
Oh God, I can't remember what one of my friends had it. They looked like Hummers before they actually existed. I can't remember what it's called though. But one of my friends had one, like a Scout, I think. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
And he painted it Bondo gray and then gave it a shark face and stuff. And he would drive that around all the time. And it was the Sharkmobile. And you had to hold on to the roll bars as you go around corners too fast to make sure that it didn't fall over. It was I think that's for the Alice Cooper makeup.
That was probably me moving the car. And oddly enough, the majority of my life is probably much like the sitcom.
You just don't have the accent for it to be on the BBC.
Yeah. I mean, I do, and I can do one well. I just, not in everyday life.
So, Tom, hi, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Glad to have you, man.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
It's definitely a nice name, man.
Yeah. Hopefully the power doesn't go out again because it might storm up again over here. Oh my God! Last night it was horrible. We had a nasty storm and then we were out of power for like a few minutes and everything. So
ours was Friday, and it was hours.
It's still trying to get everything back in order. We're still have some channels on our TV knocked out and everything. So because I guess they're based out of New York, and so gotta wait for that. But so far so good. Everything's looking pretty good so far.
Good, man. Good.
What's up?
Nice.
I see we have a Martha in the waiting room.
No, we have everybody in the waiting room.
Oh, the video.
Who?
Yeah.
Oh, everybody. Okay. Roll away, my good woman.
Okay. I don't know how to make it do that.
Add to
Happy
stage.
birthday, Raz. From me, from Hinata, from Ratatasker, and of course, it would not be complete without Cthulhu. Have a great day, bro. I love you.
Happy birthday, Raz. I'm going to sacrifice this pumpkin delight cookie in your honor.
Happy birthday, my dear friend. Thank you for bringing me into your beautiful group. Thank you for letting me share your beautiful world of Riverside that scares the hell out of me. Thank you for listening to my stories and reading my stories and just giving me a chance. And I appreciate you and I love you. Have the best birthday ever.
Happy birthday, Raz.
Say happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Raz.
Happy birthday, sunshine.
Happy birthday, Raz. As I give you happy birthday hugs.
I boop.
Happy birthday, Raz.
Happy birthday, Raz.
Happy birthday, Raz. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, Raz. Happy birthday, Raz. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, Raz.
Aw. We're
That
gonna
was
start calling
awesome.
you
Thank you, guys.
Raz now.
So you're
Yeah.
saying
That is
I've,
a
I've been
made it
pronouncing your name.
Roz.
I feel like I
Hello,
want to start maybe
Roz.
pronouncing my name. It sounds all like fancy.
I'm Roz.
Yeah, it's got 2 syllables now. It's got
Yeah.
2 syllables.
Bring me the
Roz.
chilled monkey brains.
Roz. Roz.
Thank you for putting that together. That was
Where-
so amazing.
Is that man?
And something I didn't notice, the thing from John for Slurback Graphics, he actually gave me a free, oh my God, my brain just died on itself. Free commission. So anything I want, like art-wise, he's going to make me something and send it over to me. So I'm putting my thinking cap this week, and I'm come up with like the best thing I possibly can come up with. So it'll take me some time to pick the right thing.
Gotta love John. He puts
Oh, yeah.
together some awesome stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. It's a competition, I think, sometimes to see what all can get in the artwork and like how, but if you can cut through the artwork. I'm not going to cut through the artwork. No. Cut through the artwork. It's my throwaway artwork. Screw you.
got
That's
another
better than
package from
anything
him.
I could do.
I got another package from him because when we did our giant unwrapping with like the million boxes we all unwrapped together, I won the Dirty Comics, which was the one that the time where Superman almost films a porno. There's that episode, and there's the one with the sex scene. I think it was an Avengers thing. I'll have to look up see which one it was here in a minute, but it was an Avengers thing. But in that, he sent me a bunch of. I think I got the Nun. There's a couple different horror things aren't there. I'll have to get them out here soon and show them you guys. But yeah, all new horror art from John. That was awesome.
That rocks.
John is really good at throwing,
Yeah.
just like not throwing things to you. Like what he's just like, oh, I just threw this together. It's like it's almost like Derek being just like, oh, I just stuck that in a little envelope for you. You know, like,
Yeah.
here's a bunch of stuff here. It's like just laying around the house.
Stuff.
Well, if we are ready for our next story, I think I'm going to go ahead and get mine over with.
Okay.
This was actually my attempt a couple years ago at middle grade horror. I read a lot of horror for a lot of different ages. I've got the kids book now, teaching kids about spooky things. So this was something that I've always wanted to do, and I'm thinking about doing more of in the future. I think I took the R.L. Stine masterclass right before I wrote this to kind of see where things needed to be, to interest readers. Because what I didn't want to make a kid feel talked down to, and that's the big thing he talks about is don't make people feel talked down to when they're reading, especially kids, because they'll literally grab it and just throw it right out the window. They don't care. So I actually got to test this with some middle schoolers in Nebraska. Actually, a very close friend of mine, Jessica's a teacher. It went down very, very well. So I ended up including it in the Riverside Chronicles collection that I just released early this year. So like everything I write, this is based. A lot of it is based on a very real place and a series of events that happened in my hometown where I grew up in, Riverside, Ohio. It's the basis of everything I do is my town and my weird experiences and things that have happened there. So this one is called Jimmy's Toys. When I was growing up, we had an amazing toy store in our town. It resembled a medieval castle with multiple floors, and it took up an enormous portion of a nearby strip mall. You wouldn't find national toy brands like Mattel or Fisher-Price there, though. Instead, they catered largely to independent toy companies you've likely never heard of and local craftsmen. The toys they had were every bit as interesting as the store itself. There were wooden toys of all kinds, handmade dolls, puzzles, board games, and even an entire floor dedicated to miniatures and model trains. The most important feature of the store was what they referred to as the treasure room. The treasure room was so important because it was tied to a special event in Jimmy's Toys. If your parents signed you up for their birthday club, you would receive an invitation in the mail to visit it. It was always a card wishing you a happy birthday from King Jimmy, and it contained an invitation to the treasure room and a small metal key taped inside. Your parents would take you to the store to present your invitation, and you would be ushered down to the basement level to pick out a free toy. The key added another level to the event entirely. Each key had a chance to unlock a vast treasure chest in the middle of the room. I had no idea what was inside of that chest, nor did anyone I knew personally. There were a lot of rumors, but whatever was inside of it had to be worth a fortune. The downside of the birthday club is that it only lasted until you were 12. In some ways, I guess that makes sense. Teenagers go through a lot of changes and appreciate the magic of the world around them a little less, but it still bummed me out. I dreaded my last trip to the glorious treasure room, knowing that it would be my last. Our little town was booming, and there was fresh faces everywhere you looked. I mean, the people you knew seemed to disappear overnight. Living so close to an Air Force base, that kind of thing was expected. But the older I got, I don't know, I guess the more it bothered me. My little world was changing rapidly, and soon my last vestige of childhood, the treasure room at Jimmy's Toys, would disappear along with it. The dreaded day finally came when I received my birthday card, invitation, and the key from King Jimmy. With a reluctant sigh, my mother swept me away for one last magical expedition. She knew how upset I'd been, so she made it extra special that year. We got lunch at McDonald's beforehand, and she told me we'd go to the local dairy a couple towns over for ice cream after. That did a lot to lift my spirits, but something in the back of my mind kept me from enjoying it as much as I should have. I descended the steps into the treasure room slowly, wanting to memorize every detail so I could remember it forever. I wandered around that room with its castle wallpaper and red velvet curtains for so long both my mother and the staff were becoming impatient. Not wanting to push my luck, I chose a wooden marionette crafted to look like a court jester. It seemed like a fitting parting gift. They urged me towards the giant treasure chest in the center of the room and presented my key to the staff member. She pressed a button on top of the chest, and the sound of trumpets momentarily filled the room from unseen speakers. I was in shock when the key turned. A series of clicks sounded in the now silent space. I couldn't believe it when I saw the chest lid finally open. Inside the giant chest was an open space with a ladder that descended into a golden glowing light. It was only large enough for me to fit into, and the staff member explained it was an experience just for children, and my mother would have to wait for my return. They promised her that it would only last about 20 minutes, so she let me go. I jumped inside that chest as quick as I could and climbed down that ladder. When I reached the bottom, the golden light that filled the room mesmerized me. There was an enormous scroll on the wall in front of me that framed a gilded door. The scroll congratulated me and explained that King Jimmy had chosen me to explore the secrets of the lost treasure, and I would be rewarded for my effort. I rushed through the door and into the darkness beyond. Simulated torches lit up as I passed, finding myself in what appeared to be an underground passage. My excitement peaked as I traversed that winding path. I could not believe something like this existed beneath the toy store in my small town, no matter how cool the place was. Speaking of cool, I could even feel a cool draft on my skin the farther down the path I went. When I started smelling something that my brain associated with the smell of a sewer, I was astonished. They had obviously spent a lot of time building this, and they paid close attention to even the smallest details. There was no way my friends would believe me when I told them. Eventually, the passage dead-ended into a small square room. I was disappointed at first, but my excitement spiked again and quickly overshadowed it. I was here to discover the secrets of the treasure, so obviously there had to be something I was overlooking. I ran my hand over each wall, feeling for anything that seemed out of place. In no time at all, my fingertips found a brick on one wall that stuck out just a little farther than the others. With a joyous shout, I pressed on it, and the wall before me slid open to reveal a scroll around another gilded door. This scroll congratulated me on completing the treacherous journey through the underground tunnels of the kingdom. It said that the bittersweet part of every journey was that it would eventually come to an end. I found out that day that every child on their 12th birthday that ventured into the treasure room was given a key that would ultimately lead them here. It was King Jimmy's way of giving back to the children that loved his kingdom so much throughout all these years. When I retrieved the treasure in the next room, I had to promise to never reveal its secrets in order to do my part in keeping the magic alive for others. It further explained that when I was ready, I should open the door and enter. King Jimmy was anxiously awaiting me on the other side to hand deliver my reward. Every ounce of despair I'd had in me about this day was wiped away. I was part of something much larger than myself now, and it overwhelmed me with pride. It was my first big taste of the responsibilities that awaited me now that I was getting older. I took a deep breath, and I let that sink in before opening the door and stepping into the darkness beyond once more. I heard the door close, and the lock clicked behind me in the darkness. I paid little attention. I was too focused on what I would discover ahead. A few steps farther in, and golden lights popped into existence to reveal the scene before me. This room was nearly identical to the main treasure room above, but without all the toys. On the center of the wall in front of me sat an animatronic king upon his throne before a closed golden chest. Thinking back on it now, it reminds me of the creepy king you see these days in the Burger King commercials. There's something off about that strange, ever-present smile that creeped me out just a little. When I approached King Jimmy, I could hear the whirling mechanisms that eventually brought him to life. He greeted me with a simple wave, and his mouth moved along with a recorded message, thanking me for finding the lost treasure. He invited me closer and asked me to kneel next to the box before him. I hurried into place, my eyes focusing on the golden chest next to me. I only looked away when I sensed movement extremely close to my head. I looked up and noticed that King Jimmy was placing a fake sword to each side of my head as the message informed me I would now and forever be a knight of his kingdom. It was time for me to open the chest and claim my destiny. When King Jimmy moved back into a neutral position and ceased to move or speak, I opened the box. I thrust my hands inside to claim my prize before my eyes could register its contents. I had submerged my hands into a foul-smelling substance that had the look and consistency of warm raspberry jelly. Just as it oozed over my skin and several sets of human eyeballs fought their way to the surface, I heard a door open next to King Jimmy's throne. A man dressed in a dirty old court jester costume emerged and yanked me to my feet. I could smell the same foul stench from the treasure chest all over him. Still in his grip, he forced me into his arms and carried me into the room beyond the throne. The bells on his costume made a dull jingle with every step he took, as if many of the bells were broken or somehow prevented from making their usual sound. As shocked as I was, I knew this had to be a part of the lost treasure story. Finding the treasure had been way too easy, so surely there had to be some final challenge. Maybe the court jester character was trying to steal King Jimmy's throne. The inside of this room looked more like a dungeon cell, solidifying my belief that this was part of the experience. He shoved me up into a child-sized cage that hung from the ceiling and locked within. I stayed silent and carefully scanned my surroundings. Other than the way I'd come in, I could see the edge of what I thought was a trap door in the floor below me. I also noticed a normal dungeon cell in one corner, and inside of it was another animatronic, dressed and painted to look like a court jester. I found it weird that they would have an animatronic and a real person playing the same character, but it made sense that there would be maybe an actual person down here, and I don't know, in case something went wrong. The man spun my cage around slowly, his eyes never looking away. I noticed some of that raspberry jelly stuff all over his big, scraggly salt and pepper beard. Had he been eating it? Gross. He started mumbling something I couldn't completely hear. It was only the last line that became audible to me. I'll show them who the real king is around here. Aha! The court jester was a usurper to King Jimmy's throne. I'd read about a situation like this in one of my dad's old fantasy books. The plot was thickening. As I slowly revolved in my little cage, I went back to scanning the room. Back at the dead end, I had to search for a hidden brick to get out. There had to be some sort of trigger to release me from my confinement, and a way past the court jester to the trap door. As I scanned, the man slid open a panel I hadn't noticed yet. Something fell out of it, and he quickly started stuffing it back in with his foot. All I caught was what looked like a kid's light-up shoe turning on and off every time he kicked it. He stepped back and closed the panel. When he turned around, I saw a big knife in his left hand. It was also covered in that terrible raspberry jelly stuff. He laughed as he crept closer. He must have walked right into a sensor, though, because the animatronic version of the court jester suddenly came to life. The bells attached to it jingled furiously. A recorded voice filled the room as its mechanical mouth moved in rhythm. The animatronic court jester informed us to remember the promise we made and that it was no laughing matter. If we destroyed the magic for other children, we'd wind up in the dungeon, just like him. The man stared at the animatronic for a moment, and then he refocused on me. It finally set in that whatever was happening right now was definitely not part of the show. I began rattling the cage and screaming as loud as my little lungs would allow. Still, the man crept closer, the dull jingle punctuating each of his steps. I kicked out at him from between the cage bars when he made it close enough to me, my continued shrieks for help echoing in such a small space. The blade of the knife scraped my left leg, and I winced. The pain was immediate. Luck was with me down in the dungeon that day, though. My right foot connected with the hand that held the knife, knocking it halfway across the room. When he moved to pick it up, I scanned the cage one more time in desperation. I shifted my body as I looked, finally finding a small safety latch beneath me. I pulled that latch as hard as I could, and the bottom of my cage swung down, plummeting me towards the trapdoor below. My body hit it hard enough to break it open, and I tumbled down a couple stairs. I lay on my back, staring up through the broken trapdoor as I tried to catch my breath. I hurt everywhere, but instinctively I knew that nothing was broken. I was getting ready to pull myself to my feet and make a run for it when the man's face peered down at me from above. He slowly descended the stairs with his dull jingles, pointing the knife in my direction. I sat up and started crawling backwards as fast as I could to try and get some space between us. But a wall 10 feet back stopped me in my tracks. Just as the man moved to hover over me and bring that knife down, a police officer burst through the door I hadn't noticed was next to me. He tackled the deranged court jester to the ground and cuffed him with the help of another officer that ran in behind him. A third officer arrived in the room and carefully picked me up. He rushed me through another long and winding corridor, just like the one that had led me to the throne room to begin with, and out into the store itself, where the store manager was waiting next to my frantic mother. When the ambulance arrived, they wrapped me in a warm blanket, and I was checked out by the paramedics. I ended up with a lot of bruising, a minor concussion, and a nasty gash on my left leg. They took me to the hospital for overnight observation and 17 stitches. The police met us at the hospital, and I answered every question to the best of my ability. We found out that the man who attacked me was an ex-employee of Jimmy's Toys. He'd been with the store since it first opened and was fired a couple months ago for drinking on the job. He then assaulted the manager and several employees before fleeing the scene. They've been able to find him until now. A week later, breaking news bulletin interrupted my Saturday morning cartoon programs. It turns out that they found the remains of several children and their families in the sub-basement of Jimmy's Toys. The news shocked our entire community. Jimmy's Toys hung around for another year before the grisly events, and our town's first Walmart put them out of business. The entire strip mall went under shortly after. The story quickly became urban legend material. Teenagers and urban explorers alike took to the tunnels below with their cameras, and a legend was born. They say that if you descend into the tunnels beneath the treasure room, you'll find King Jimmy and his court jester down there waiting for you. Their animatronic bodies will come to life and chase you all the way to the store's front entrance. And if you're too slow, they'll drag you back to the dungeon and torture you forever. The castle for Jimmy's Toys still stands there to this day, enticing those who pass by to come inside and discover the secrets of the lost treasure.
Awesome job.
Awesome stuff, man. Great stuff.
Wow.
That is one of my favorite stories of yours.
And on that note, great story. Happy birthday, Raz. I need to call it a night now. It was
All right,
great
man.
seeing you guys again, and hopefully I'll have more stuff for the next Owlite.
Hell yeah.
So,
All right.
Good to see you as always, man. Thank you for being
See you,
here.
man.
cheers.
Good night.
Take care. Good night.
So I'm wondering, Raz, since everything's based in your hometown, what's the inspiration for that story? Is there an old Child World castle store rotting in the corner over there on 5th and Main, or what's up?
No, that was an actual toy store. It was called Johnny's Toys, not Jimmy's Toys. They had the birthday club, the throne room, the whole thing. It was a real thing. And I always wondered what would happen because I never got lucky enough to actually, have the key that opened the treasure chest. I had no idea what was down there. I'm assuming there wasn't even an underground at all, but it's just something that I always thought in my brain as a child that that's what it would be like. And
Wow.
the area I live in is literally right next to Wright Pat Air Force Base, like the biggest Air Force base. So like I'm up against it, and it's a very weird town. Like people do disappear randomly, whether they're in the military and they leave overnight to get restationed, but some kids go missing there. It's something that happens. So it wasn't kind of out of the way for me as a kid to think that maybe that was the reason some kids didn't come back or whatever. I don't know.
Right.
Just all those weird things at once. And I never thought about writing this story until 2 years ago because someone just randomly brought it up and said, "Hey, did you guys know that Johnny's Toys turned into an electronics store?" And they still do the birthday club to this day. They just give you like thumb drives or something weird. But
That's very cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. Great stuff.
And Shannon's all, oh, really? Oh, dear. All right.
Good night, Shannon. All right.
Good night, Moon. Oh. Who would like to go next?
I can.
Okay.
1 second. Okay. Hi, I'm going to read, if it'll load. Sorry. There we go. Mom's passing. I could not stop for death, so he kindly stopped for me. We had been playing that Speedy Hedgehog game for over an hour or two, and we're heading into some mines. He started telling me about one of his human observations. Done it, work with me. I have found that if I dress the way your culture pictures me being dressed, it scares those I have come for. So I've started dressing in ways I believe will comfort the dead. Then I started bringing a loved one as well. I can understand that, but how did you decide a dark blue suit and tie would be comforting for me? I inquire. I'm still beyond curious why I'm able to see death at all. No, I like to dress this way. It seems professional for this country and era. I have not come here for you. As soon as George gets here, we will be leaving with your mother. I knew you would be able to see George. In her passing, there would be many other deaths in your life. I need you to be able to work with me with the living. None of the inhabitants of your father's house will understand or believe. So I'm helping a bit now. A robotic caterpillar jumped out of the ground and started attacking my character in response. I dropped the controller. Huh? Out of the wall, Papa George walks with a smile. Hi, Plum. Unfortunately, you're going to have to grow up faster than we will like. This will start a new chapter in your life at your dad's. I started crying. I was only 12. She taught me everything I knew, how to cook, how to make healing salves, how to garden and harvest plants, and so many more things. Death hugged me. Thank you for letting me play with you. Remember what your mom taught you. I am the friend of humankind. He got up and headed down the hall with Papa. They came back a few minutes later with Mom. I was still bawling as I stood up, tears and snot rolling down my face. I walked over. She tried to touch my face, but it only felt like a winter wind. I love you, honeybee, she said crying silent tears. I will come check on you later. Bye, my sweet girl. Love you, Plum. I will be back for more of our normal talks later, Papa promised. Thank you again, Death said as they walked through the door. With a wipe of my nose on my sleeve, I dialed 911. And that's the end of that one.
That one's
Nice.
so
I like that.
sad, but it's pretty too. It's beautiful the way it ends.
It is.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah, good stuff. Thanks, Friday.
And Shannon, it might just be me slow on clicking them too. I don't always notice when somebody posts something up. All right, Rob, you ready? You got something for us?
Sure. All right. So I have two options. I have a book coming out next month at the Merrimack Valley Book Festival that's happening in Haverhill, Massachusetts. I was thinking about reading from that, but that might be kind of long, and it would be basically an excerpt. It would be the opening of the book. Or I have something shorter that would be the full story. It's called Death Interrupted, but I kind of hesitate to follow Jen's death story. So I don't know.
Rock, so I will love it.
What's that?
Yours will rock, and I know I'll love it because you wrote it.
Okay, then I'll do Death Interrupted.
Yeah.
This is something that hasn't been published. It's been rejected a few times, and accepted once, but I didn't like the contract, so I give up. I'm just gonna read it at events and things because it's fun for me to read. It's been a while, so I'm hoping I don't mess this up. Death Interrupted. I walked in on death. I didn't mean to. To be honest, had I known, I may have turned aside or hesitated, found some excuse not to go in the room. But I'd been sent for a cold compress for Dave's head. And in the current situation, and what with the "do it now, idiot" tone my wife had used, I was in a bit of a hurry. To be fair, she did think it was my fault Dave needed the compress. To be extra fair, Dave should have known not to trust me when I asked him to help me open a can marked mixed nuts. I'd gotten him with the rubber vomit, the fake dog poop, the fly in the plastic ice cube, the whoopee cushion, and the joy buzzer. Twice. And that was just this weekend. My Uncle Dave, world's most gullible man. But seriously, he should have learned at least a little caution by that point in the visit, shouldn't he? I mean, the can just said mixed nuts. No brand name, no list of ingredients on the side, no nothing. He definitely shouldn't have been so surprised when the springy snake popped out of the can that he went over backward and thumped his head a good one on the floor like he did. That was just overreacting. But Lisa had used that tone, so I was hurrying. "Here you go," I said, bustling through the door. "This ought to..." Death sat by the bed. We both froze just for a second, making that awkward eye contact, or whatever you call it when one party doesn't actually have eyes, that tends to happen when you suddenly discover you're not as alone as you'd thought. We each looked away at the same moment, Death gazing out the window with uncomfortably false nonchalance, while I put my hand on my hip and held the other aloft, trying to remember the name of the thing I'd just carried into the room. "Compress," I shouted. "Beg pardon," Death said, quickly, as if I'd startled him by speaking, and in a voice that made Sir Ian McKellen sound just a little bit like Mickey Mouse. Compress," I repeated. "My wife sent me to fetch a compress for Dave's head, but I guess it's too, well..." Eye sockets filled with the deepest night stared at me from beneath the motionless black cowl as Death waited for me to say it, not helping me in the least. "Late?" I finished. We stared at each other again, me still holding the compress up like I was showing it off, Death holding Dave's fleshy hand casually in his bony one. Then a single came from the skull, a neat trick without a tongue, and the hood rotated smoothly as Death looked out the window again. "Well," he intoned, and if anyone ever had the pipes for intoning, this was the guy. "This is awkward." "You're telling me," I said. He glanced over, indicating the door with a single extended phalange. I don't suppose you could just walk back out and forget this ever happened? He sounded both mournful and hopeful. Not really the kind of thing you just forget. No, of course not. Silly of me to suggest it. So, I said. So, Death agreed. A few heartbeats passed in the silence. All of them mine, apparently. I pointed to Dave. Heart attack? Yes. I guess the snake in the can was a bit much then? Yes. We let the silence grow a while. Suddenly, Death burst out, Look, I'm not used to doing this in front of anyone. Not, visibly. It's a bit uncomfortable, you standing there with that compress and everything. Would you mind giving me a moment alone? I challenge you, I said. Death blinked. Well, not blinked as such without having eyes or eyelids, but I got the sense for a moment he was trying to very hard. Beg pardon? I challenge you, I said again, slowly. Even I couldn't believe I'd said it the first time, since the idea was still forming while I was saying it again. I've read about you. Hercules wrestled you for someone or other, right? And Granny Weatherwax played cards for a child. I read that one too. The first is a myth, and the second happened in a popular novel, Death said flatly. They were both fiction. I flipped a finger between the two of us. And this is real? Seriously? Point taken. He sighed, hollowly. You wish to challenge me for Dave? Yup. And what do you bet? Me, I said. Double or nothing. You win, you take both of us. You lose, you walk away empty-handed. The skull nodded solemnly. Done. What is the game? I don't know. But not wrestling. I have a bad back. And not cards, Death insisted. That Weatherwax woman soured me on cards. Well, this is Dave's room. I don't know what else he'd have in here. I scratched my chin, then snapped my fingers. I got it. We'll flip a coin. A coin? Sure. One flip, winner take all. Straight chance, no advantage to either side. I shrugged. Best I can come up with on short notice. There was a hollow rasp as Death scratched his own chin. I like it. I tend to be unskilled at human games anyway. Done, I said. And since I challenged you, you get to choose heads or tails for yourself. I choose heads. Heads, you win, I agreed, stuffing my left hand in my pocket and coming out with a quarter. Tails, I win. Ready? The dark figure sat straighter in his chair. Ready. I flipped the coin, sending it high in the air, spinning end over end. Caught it and slapped it down on my wrist. Ready? Death stared with a hollow-socketed intensity. Ready. I slipped my hand aside. Damn, said Death, sounding like Ian McKellen with a chest cold at the bottom of a well. In hell. Ha, I said. Looks like you're going away empty-handed. But Death was gone. He didn't fade away or walk through a wall or anything, and I didn't actually see him disappear, but it was something like he'd never been there at all. Christ, that was close, shouted Dave, sitting up so fast I actually fell down and hit my head. But with talking to Death and all, I'd kind of forgotten he was even there. I got up and pressed a compress to my own head. You heard all that? Of course, said Dave. I was right here. Double or nothing on a single coin toss? That's the ballsiest thing I've ever seen. Yep, I said. That's me. Nothing but balls. Dave's eyes went unfocused for a moment in thought. Then, two-headed coin? Nope, I grinned. Two-tailed. The two-headed one's in my right pocket. I should have known. He shook his head. You and your practical jokes. Hey, one of those practical jokes just saved your life. You wouldn't have had to save my life if... I spun on my heel and pushed through the door. I'll go tell everyone you're okay, shall I? I'd crossed the hall and gotten to the top of the stairs, compress still firm against the base of my skull, when I heard the cry behind me. I reflexively spun toward the sound, and my foot shot out from beneath me. I sailed out over the steps, feet rising, head falling, and landed at the foot of the stairs on the back of my neck. I was just contemplating the ugly crack my neck had made and the strange lack of pain when a clearly stepped on banana peel fluttered down to land on my chest. My goodness, said Ian McKellen's vocal stunt double. That looked terrible. Let me help you up. Death looked very tall from where I lay on the floor, shoving the last bit of banana into his mouth before leaning down to offer me a skeletal hand. You know, he said, chewing, and I wondered how the banana didn't just fall out, but with his lack of lips, but he must have had lots of practice. That sense of humor of yours is going to get someone killed someday. Whoops, he pointed down. Too late. My gaze followed his pointing digit to my body, lying at my translucent feet. Again, he said, and I looked up to find my slightly transparent but very angry-looking Dave standing beside him. Whoops. We were halfway down the tunnel to the light before I realized that that chest-rattling rumble I was hearing was Death. Laughing. And that's Death Interrupted.
That was hilarious.
I love it. That was great.
I love it.
Oh, you son of a bitch. You're just a man.
What?
That is gorgeous.
So
All
good.
of your descriptions are just so fun.
Death's
I love
fun.
that.
Yeah, no,
Thank
Death is your voice for Death was hilarious too. Oh, son of a bitch.
That's
So good.
That's ripped straight off from Terry Pratchett's.
Yeah, I mean it
Sure,
felt
yeah.
like that was
Yeah.
who that was.
One of
He
my
was
favorite
speaking
parts
in
was-
all caps.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's all
very
caps.
much. All caps. If I could have worked the death of rats in, I would have squeak. I would have done that.
Well, it's funny you keyed it on Ian McKellen because it was Christopher Lee that always voiced that version of Death in all the adaptations.
Yep. I love the banana bar because he's like, he didn't even have any lips, so he must have had a lot of practice.
Must
I'm
have
like,
practice.
Yeah.
he had a lot of practice. Okay.
So
He's been
so
around for a
freaking
while.
funny.
Yeah.
He has.
Bananas.
He likes bananas. Yeah.
You can't slip on a curry box, really. That
Yes.
doesn't
No.
have the hijinks to it.
Compress. What?
That was so awesome, man.
Thank you.
Yes, that was really good.
Oh, and Tom, we drug you in here, but did you have a story for tonight?
Actually,
or?
I do.
Nice.
I have many of them. One of them being mostly based off of the nightmares I used to have when I was younger. The alien abduction one. I'm going to save that for next time, but this is a really interesting one. This is when I had a nightmare that I experienced when I was working at my very first job at a department store. As soon as I turned 18. I love that job. But I was working layaway, and there was this and there was two different floors. The first floor that where the base layaway department was, where we had all the heavy stuff, the boxes and whatnot. Anything that was lighter, like toys, video games, clothing, etc. There'll be another floor up above us, and it was also a secondary room for storage, to get stuff off for, like, let's say Christmas or something like that. So one particular night or day, I was going upstairs organizing the layaway department, the layaway that was up there and everything, and cleaning, sweeping up in there and everything. And I noticed off to the corner on the storage area, there was this plastic statue. There was a little plastic figurine statue, something that we could be using for the snack bar that we had. And what it was a plastic statue of a chef mannequin. It was a chef. It was a plastic chef figurine or statue, whatever. And I don't know how long that was there for, but it was creepy as hell. It looked very, very creepy. And being that it was a dimly lit room, it made it even more creepy because it would always there with this creepy looking face, like, you know, that sort of thing. And it was really creepy. And it was and I know it was supposed to have like a smile or something like that, but it was one creepy looking chef. So every now and then, when I would do some sweeping or anything like that, I hated going up there. Never told anybody, but I hated it. One particular night, it was storming and everything like that, and so it made my dream even more scary because I dreamt about that mannequin that night. So in the dream, it was raining and storming and everything like that. It was a really bad day. And it wasn't really that busy, but we had some stuff on. I was doing some cleaning and putting some stuff away from layaway orders. So I'm all by myself. All of a sudden, the light goes off. It's pitch black. Couldn't see anything. Didn't have a flashlight with me. Didn't have like any backup generators at that time. It was pitch black. Maybe like and then off to the distance there was like one of those security lights, you know, that they had. Those were the only two that was shining. So couldn't really leave a light. But off in the distance, I'm seeing two red lights. Tiny red lights. I got closer to it. I got closer. The lights were getting brighter and brighter. And it was an image of the chef mannequin, the chef figurine. It was coming to life. It started moving, crawling down, down, down. I panicked. I tried to turn around to go the other way, but it was too dark in there. I couldn't see a thing. I kept going and going and going. And I kept feeling around. And then I felt the door frame, the frame of where a door would be. I felt my way, and I looked over there, and I walked out a little bit, and there was the two eyes standing right there. The chef figurine, the chef statue, going closer up the stairs, into my face. With a hatchet. Just about to swing at me. Lights go on. I wake up. Freaked out. That's all.
Nice. You made me think of the old Happy Chefs. I don't know if you guys had those, but they had this huge statue of the chef, and when we were kids, we always had to go push the button, make him talk.
It was like a little tiny one though. And it was like a stereotypical Italian chef looking kind of mannequin. It had like the Italian mustache and everything like that. It kind of looked like Super Mario in a way.
Nice. My ex-wife
And
had there was like a set of them, I think, because like she had that one. She had one that looked like a maid, one that looked like a butler. I remember the butler one had his hand like this, but it had like a little roll where you could stick like the roll of toilet paper on top of it, and it just sat there and stared at you in the bathroom.
Yeah.
That was creepy, man. That it was yeah.
That's cool that you guys both know what they are.
Super weird.
yeah.
All right. Well, we've gone just a little over 2 hours, and we promised people we wouldn't keep them up too late since we've got a lot of East Coasters here. So, gonna go through real quick. Steve. Oh, Steve Van
Yes.
Samson. Where would you like people to get a hold of you at?
You can find me, Steve Van Samson. I'm on. Oftentimes you can find me on Facebook. I have an author page. I have you can shoot me a, hey, how's it going? I have a normal person page also under the same name. You can also find my books over at roughhousepublishing.com. My last two books, Mark of the Wishworm and Black Honey, are still available on roughhousepublishing.com. Also got a new one coming out from a different house, Weird House. My next book is Year of the Rattlesnake. It's officially up for pre-order. Just the super deluxe mega hardcover edition is currently the only ones up there. There's more versions that are coming soon, and that is at weirdhousepress.com, I believe is the website. And that is a collection of weird Western horror stories that I'm very proud of as well. So check all that good stuff out if you're feeling like it. If you wanna, you can. That's all I'm saying. And come on, be a Van Samsonite. Like, we'll have two. Be you and Delphine.
I'll
Be
make
great.
t-shirts. It'll
Yeah.
be fun.
Yeah.
There's also actually right now a sale going on Weird House, and your book is included in that. So if people want to get a discount on the pre-order, they can hop in there.
That's very true.
And we do have your notes up above, down below, side to side, wherever they're at, included. So
Somewhere.
check those out if you don't want to like sit and type. You can just hit the link. Rob, where can everybody find you at?
Usually I'm at home.
It's dark
You
and
find me on-
really scary.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook. I don't actually have just one publisher. My stuff's kind of spread out all over the place. I do have something at Laundry Legs. My newest book is at Weird House with Steve's books. Also for sale, also on sale. It's called Laundry Legs. Much fun, lots of fun. And I have something coming out. Like I said, I have something coming out next month called Spearfinger. That is also lots of fun. Not exactly horror. It's kind of horror adjacent. It's a reluctant paranormal investigator. He really doesn't want to do it, but he keeps winding up getting stuck with the job. Yeah, Facebook. I mean, I know that I have other social media there's other social media, but I'm really bad at it. So I'm just working with the one.
All right. Tom?
All right. Be sure to follow me at TomDog247 on Twitter at TomDog247. I'm also on TikTok at TomDog247. And I think there was some other else. Oh, anywho, I'm also every Thursday night. I have my own show on the Brill Pro Network over at Tom Arcade 69. You can check me out there. At the end of each month, or if there's any other specials, I do Wrestling Prime, where I talk about some wrestling and everything. I'm also working on a future project with Crypto Nightmare, a good friend Tails. We're going to be she's going to be starting up her own wrestling show, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for that as well. And while you're checking out my YouTube channel, support the small streamers like myself, and do the most important thing that you could do for us small streamers like myself, and that is face hug that subscribe button. Oh, there you are, right there. And yeah, we got a good show coming up lined up this Thursday. We're going to be doing a review. There we go. We're going to be doing a review on the upcoming Pokemon DLC that's coming out this Tuesday/Wednesday. I'm going to be reviewing that, as well as my thoughts on the MTV Video Music Awards, which
Do they still play music?
only once a year when they have the Video Music Awards.
Fair enough.
So, but my favorite, one of my favorite crushes is getting the Video Vanguard Award tonight. That night, which is on a Tuesday, but Pokemon's more important than MTV. But
yeah, I think Rob is really excited for the Pokemon. Rob loves his Pokemon, so he's very excited for that episode.
The teal mask is coming out this week, so it's so if you have,
Rob can't wait. He's on that.
If you have Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, definitely it's going to be really great. So I'm going to be there. You go, awesome. And I'm going to be reviewing that. And of course, the 5th episode of Ahsoka, I'm going to be reviewing that as well, and maybe some other little tidbits as well too, but always lots and lots of tomfoolery. So there you go. So tune in this Thursday. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, Argyle Friday.
Find me at Friday with the Library in the Blue Box. Friday. My group is Friday Blues Disorganized Library, but I'm also on the Elliott Network on Faycore, and I'm helping with Delphine's page and Raz's page. So leave a message somewhere in all those places, and I'll get back to you.
You can reach her on all of us. Because we can't social media either, Rob. We're lucky we have her. As for me, if you look me up on Kari, Kari Sanders, which is this host body that I'm inhabiting at the moment, on Facebook, you can find all of my links there. I am to be found here on the Owlite Network. I have a couple of stories up that you can get on Amazon, and you can also find me Tuesdays and Wednesdays on the Dorkening Network on Splash Pages and Midweek Geeks. So, wrapping it out, birthday boy Raz, where do you want people to find you?
Before I get to that, I just want to say thank you guys so much for being here and sharing this with me. It meant so much to me that you guys came on and shared some stories for my birthday, and I get to do this once a month regardless, but like just to do it today, it's my favorite thing in the world to just share stories with people. Whether it's horror, real life experiences, hell yeah, just talking and getting to know other human beings and reestablishing that connection that we all lost after the pandemic. That's the entire point of my existence at this point, is just reestablishing that everywhere. Again, not an emotional person, man, but everybody's been ganging up on me these past couple of days, and I'm feeling it. So maybe I won't have to feel it again for another whole year. That'll be my excuse. So again, thank you guys. I love all of you. You can find me in the basement. You can, if you actually want to meet me in person, every weekend, Friday and Saturday night, down at Hell's Dungeon Haunted Attraction in Dayton, Ohio. I'm there Friday, Saturday from 8 p.m. to midnight. Literally, the rest of this month, all of October, and the first weekend of November. And in fact, if you show up and you mention my name, Raz T Slasher, and say the code phrase Owlite Freak Show, you'll get $3 off at the front door. So definitely come by and see me, spend some time with me and my freaks down in the show. It's about a 40-minute walkthrough. And you can check us out, Hell's Dungeon, pretty much everywhere on all the social medias. Survive Hell's Dungeon. Of course, you can message that website, and it'll just be me talking to you anyway. But we do a lot of fun things there, and you guys are going to see a lot of cool promos for some walkthroughs I did this past weekend. So other than podcasting, the haunted attraction industry is the other thing I'm most passionate about, or in storytelling, obviously. So I'd love to connect with you guys there. So definitely come down if you can, and if not, at least make sure you try and hit a haunted attraction somewhere near you. Just get out there and support the industry in general. So thank you guys.
All right. Have a good night, everybody, and
Happy
thanks
birthday,
for joining
Russ.
us.
Thanks, guys.